First of all, it's Sally Black for the camera, and what's your date of birth?
62232, June 22nd, 1932.
Terrific. December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor. Is there corporate memory in Sally's?
December 7th, 1941, a day of infamy. Even as Japanese diplomats were conferring with Secretary of State Hull on peace measures, Nipponese planes were swooping down on Pearl Harbor. Nearly 200 planes were destroyed. In that Sunday morning inferno, the Pacific Fleet appeared to be completely immobilized by the sneak attack. Nearly 3,000 casualties added to the catastrophe. Within hours, the United States declared war.
I can remember standing with, if it was one or two of my sisters, with the radio was on. And we stopped what we were doing and listened to the radio. And they announced the bombing December 7th, what was it, 1942?
41.
41. Mm-hmm. So I was only 9 years old. But I had sisters who immediately responded to it, and all of the boys that they knew were going to be drafted. And that was a given. I mean, that was their response to it, besides shock and sorrow. Their friends were very much involved. Well, my oldest sister had been married the year before, and her husband was, I guess because of his eyes, was drafted and then discharged because of a physical problem. But he went to work with, in research. They lived in Syracuse. He was in research at the university, and I'm not sure exactly what he was doing. He was pre-med, and his goal was medical school, so it was something in that field. And my second sister was going with a young man who was in the service. Ended up, he joined the Air Force before he was drafted, and he ended up in Japan, flying from what they called the hump, from India into China. And I can remember he wrote letters. They were all censored. So the way she knew where he was that every letter had a different letter in the name. It was Glennis A. and Glennis, and she finally put all the letters, occurred to her, she put all the letters together, and he was stationed in Assam, India.
Yeah.
And indicated that he was flying the hump.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. So she was directly affected. They were obviously married as soon as the war was over. He got home. June was just casually dating. She was finishing up high school and going to Alfred Extension and then transferred. So she was in college. Marie and I were in high school and were junior high and went through all the stages as the war, and very concerned because we knew everybody, that was all the guys that were going.
Did you remember hearing of people from the Jamestown who were maybe part of the group that lost their lives over there?
Yes, I remember the first one was an Allen boy. He was a friend of my sister June's. So I remember that. I remember her response when she heard the news that he had been killed. So there were, I don't recall names, but there were others who we either knew or knew of because of somebody in the family knew them. So yeah, the effects of the service were very much a part of our household in those days.
Do you remember collecting stuff, whether it was metal or doing anything for the war?
Yes, we collected newspapers. I can remember dragging a wagon full of newspapers to wherever it was we were supposed to deposit them. We didn't have bread. I can remember fighting with my sister Marie as to whose turn it was to color the margarine, because it came in pound packages with a little yellow pill of containing yellow liquid. And so you mixed it so it would look like butter. And the table, you mixed turned the margarine into yellow margarine instead of, it's my turn. Because it was fun to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Then the war ends in June of 1945 in Europe and then ultimately in Japan. Do you remember celebrations in the area?
Oh.
I deem this reply a full acceptance of the Potsdam Declaration, which specifies the unconditional surrender of Japan. In the reply, there is no qualification.
Newsmen rush the president's report to a waiting world. In New York City, as throughout a rejoicing nation and world, vast throngs of grateful, happy people celebrate the end of fighting, the dawn of peace. 2 million New Yorkers jam Times Square. It's official. It's all over. It's total victory.
Oh, everybody was celebrating. And then there was a big parade down 3rd Street. I can't remember. Anybody and everybody was in the parade. My dad, who had not gained much weight his entire life, was able to fit into his World War I, the uniform he wore when he was discharged from World War I. And I can remember, and they had a parade, he was able to wear that parade, that uniform, and marched in the parade. And I can remember standing in the crowds on 3rd Street, and some little boy in front of me, if you've ever seen a World War I uniform, some little boy in front of me hollered, "Look, Mom, look at that big Boy Scout." It was the kind of uniform that he had. So I always thought was really cute. So yeah.